This is OXORA, your business world, your business channel. Welcome to the OXORA Business Channel. I'm Monique, Coppola, your host. Joining us today is the CEO of OXORA, Mr. Advisor Abbate. Welcome, sir.
Hi.
We're going to talk a little bit about OXORA and its mission and values.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about OXORA. What is it exactly that you do?
OXORA's vision is about territorial development. In essence, we are focused primarily on working with government and non-government organizations to identify what are the values that they could bring to light and they can share with the rest of the world. How can we identify those values, the natural resources, the excellency of products and services that the community in their region specifically generates, and how we can package that and promote that. One way that we do this is through identifying entrepreneurs that have excelled in a certain area, and we help them to develop a better business overseas.
Now, OXORA is also an international corporate management company. What does that mean exactly?
We have taken a process which exists in every corporation called corporate management, and we have created a service from it, an outsourcing service. So in essence, any business, any individual, whether it's for developing, increasing their own business affairs, or for investing overseas, is able to call upon OXORA to manage a company to use as a vehicle to increase their business or invest.
What is the difference between an international corporate management company and, say, consulting? How is that different?
The fundamental difference is that corporate management is the process of managing the assets of a company, whatever assets may be, and bringing direction to that company and handling the operation of that company to bring it to meet their objectives. The objectives of the stockholders or the objective that we have decided on behalf of the stockholders. With consulting, you may do a project, a consulting firm may do a project for a very brief period of time, intervening in a certain aspect of the business. And the project could last 3 months, 6 months, perhaps a shorter period of time. And then they may come in again after a period of time to see how's it going and provide some additional consultancy. But it's specific and it's not hands-on. In other words, they don't actually do the work. We are the heavy lifters. We get the work done. Essentially, I prefer actually when a company comes to us already having spoken with the consultants, having done that, having created a business plan perhaps, and spoken with the attorneys and spoken with all the other advisors and the accountants and that entire team. Now they're ready for action and they'll look at each other and say, that's a wonderful plan, but who's going to activate it? Who's going to do the work? And that's when they call the heavy lifters, which is OXORA. We actually handle the operation. So a customer should think of us as a company CEO that has also a team of heavy lifters that will get the work done, will get the operation going and achieve the objectives.
So what does that look like exactly? So you have a company that is already in existence. You have a company that wants to go further. They want to reach their tentacles, say, globally. What does that look like? I mean, how many people come in from OXORA to the company? And can you give me an example of that?
Sure. I'll give you a specific example when we were first introduced about 10 years ago in the maritime industry. It was an industry we weren't familiar with. I had not taken a cruise until that time, and so I had never been on a ship. And a government agency introduced to us a company and their owners that were interested in expanding their business in the cruise industry, and they recommended OXORA. And we explained to the owners that we had no experience in the industry, but they had heard so much about us, and we've been highly recommended by the government, that they said, we'll teach you, we'll show you, wow. We'll introduce you to this industry. And often happens like that because, frankly, it's impossible to know all the details and the intricacies. and the passion associated with developing a unique product and doing a specific job. So often the stockholders, the owner-operators of a specific company will introduce to us the particulars of their project, business, processes, and then we will determine whether we have the personnel within OXORA that already has certain qualifications that can be molded to operate a specific business, or we hire. We seek out individuals, as we did in the maritime industry. We created a sales department specific for the maritime industry that we hired, OXORA, and we created client relationship managers that work for us to help all the companies that currently we manage in the maritime industry. So it started with one company, and now it's a group of companies and will continue to grow.
Wow. Now, I would imagine even if you were familiar with a particular industry, that there would be an amount of time that you would have to be there and to see how their operations go. So typically, how long, if you're in an industry that you're familiar with, for instance? I mean, and let's talk about some of the industries that you do work within. What are the most common that you work with?
Well, we work in the fashion industry, and we work in the music industry, and we work in maritime, as I mentioned, but real estate has been an old staple of ours for a very long time, be it construction, be it investment, development of land, and all of those aspects that encompass real estate as is known as an industry. Investments of mobile and immobile assets. We have wealthy individuals and non-wealthy individuals. The wealthy that may want to invest in properties and mobile assets, be it a yacht or exotic vehicles or collectibles, whatever it may be. And then we have families that are beginning to put aside some money, and they may start with as low as $50,000. And they say, let's set up a company, let's start saving money in this company with our objective is to purchase an apartment one day or in a certain country. And perhaps with the idea they're looking at the focus, maybe their children will study in that country, maybe one day one of the family members will be able to obtain an investor visa. It's numerous, the desires, the objectives that clients could have.
So there's no limit to size or location, it sounds like, with OXORA.
There is no limit in terms of boundaries. We operate primarily in all of China, all of Asia, and we operate in Western Europe primarily, and in Central South America and the U.S. We don't really have operations focused in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe. Not necessary for us today. Perhaps if our clients clients will continue to request this market, we would consider it. But we're so busy with the markets that I mentioned that it's now relevant enough for us to go elsewhere. We like to work in stable markets where we know very well and we can assure longevity and growth for our clients.
But that doesn't mean you wouldn't move into different markets.
Oh, certainly not. It doesn't mean, the two markets essentially that we're not covering, well, three, I would say, India and Eastern Europe and the Middle East. Because in India we have done some projects, but we're not growing at a fast pace as we are in those other markets. But Eastern Europe, not so much. And the Middle East, certainly not.
And what about Africa?
Africa, no. Yeah. No, Africa, no. Nowhere in Africa, actually. And but I foresee Africa. We have had some conversations with Liberia, the leaders of Liberia. So I think Africa will probably come sooner than the Middle East and perhaps even Eastern Europe.
Because China's heavily investing in Africa.
That's correct. And typically our Chinese clients will encourage us to say, there's a certain amount of us, and always intrigued by how quickly they could develop a network. The Chinese, get together, and entrepreneurs, families, individuals, and then they will say, well, we would like to sponsor this project with you. How about you help us? We tell them, well, we need at least 5-6 companies. The next thing you know, they present themselves with 10 companies. They say, we have 10 companies. Let's open up the market here. But they want us to be the leaders because they know we're good organizers and managers.
What kind of company is OXORA? What do you stand for? And what would you say, just generally what kind of company OXORA is?
Essentially, we like to present ourselves as a tailor, very much a tailor that is familiar with the local market, that would style you in making sure you look your best and you present your best, and so that you can make a great appearance on stage and ultimately achieve your goals. We see ourselves that way. We are highly ethical. We care very much about how we do business. We keep it very elementary. We never own any percentage of any companies we manage, and we never earn any percentage on any profit that the companies we manage earn. We work exclusively by the hour and hourly fees. And we like to keep it that way. We find that that keeps everything that we do at arm's length, and it's with pure transparency.
And how does that work exactly when a company wants to hire you on to be the CEO, for example? Is it, do you say we need a year or 2 years, or how does that work?
Depending on the project, generally we say 5 and 5, sometimes 10. Very few times we'll do 2 and 2.
What does that mean, 2 and 2?
2 years with the option to renew. But,
I gotcha.
But in essence, all our contracts can be terminated within a 30-day notice, regardless of what is written on the contract, meaning it could be 10, it could be 5, it could be 2. It's always, there's always the option that can be terminated within 30-day notice.
And that's on both sides?
And that's on both sides, yeah, because if we see that a client is not following and working ethically, not following our guidance and working ethically, that could potentially create problems for themselves, for us, and our other clients, then we would terminate immediately. That hasn't occurred where we had to take that drastic measure, but it did occur where sometimes we were explaining to our clients how to operate, and we noticed they weren't listening, so then we reached out to outside law firms to get a third and a fourth opinion and have it mailed directly to our clients, say, we're not the only ones saying this. We have reached out to third and fourth parties, and now if you don't take a necessary action to correct, then we have to let you go. So then in that case, they were able to reach the common sense to make adjustments.
Great. And what would you say OXORA's mission is? Where do you see OXORA in 5, 10 years from now?
We certainly, in our goals is to have an OXORA bank and to create this project called OXORA Showcases, where we're going to completely change our countries, our exchanging culture and trade and education with one another. This is a very ambitious project that we're planning to unveil in Geneva, potentially within the next year or two. And those are the two pillars. International corporate management is something that we're good at and will probably continue to grow in different sectors, but it's not our ultimate goal.
So what is your ultimate goal then? All of those things? So you have
Our ultimate goal is to become a leader in territorial development, be recognized as the leader in territorial development, where actually countries will recognize, the leaders of countries will recognize that there is a need for OXORA to give them guidance and to manage certain aspects of territorial development that they certainly don't have a vision, being that they're not very pragmatic, often people in political leadership. I mean, that's the reality. And we find that even those with political leaders with business experience, once they get involved and entangled in the political network, they lose their efficiency. Not because they are not, have a lack of ideas, or not because they wouldn't like to get things done quicker, but because the bureaucratic machine is just that way. It's just very slow. So recognizing a territory, a province, a state, and a nation, recognizing that they would outsource the objective of territorial development to a different company once they've made that decision, however long it would take them to make that decision, but once that decision is made, we will be able to implement a mechanism to expedite the territorial development and be able to bring FDIC into the territory much quicker than they would be able to do.
That sounds wonderful, and something that is sorely needed, I think. So you'll
Yes,
definitely
I
be
think
filling
so.
a niche there.
I think so.
Well, unfortunately, that's going to do it for today's show. We are out of time. You've been watching the OXORA Business Channel. Definitely follow us on Facebook, like us, find us on social media, and tune in next time. And we'd love to take any of your questions, and perhaps we'll use them in our next show. I'd like to thank Advisor Abbate
Thank you.
for joining us today, and thank you for watching.
Cheers.
Please join the conversation. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, OXORA, Your Business World. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Leave your comments and questions, and we may include them in our next show. Feel free to email us at contact@oxora.com. Until next time, thank you for watching the OXORA Business Channel.